Good morning and welcome to Coffee with the Pastor. I am sporting our Camp Sunshine t-shirt today. Camp Sunshine is a day camp for kids that we do every year. I think it's one of the best things we do all year long. Dennis Johns kind of developed this program, but the kids learn the fruit of the Spirit. And then during the day, they go do fun stuff. They go to the beach, they go to movies, they may go to the zoo, or they may go to the jumping world next door, or all the fun stuff they do. But while they're out, there's counselors and there's people with them who are observing them, and those that are exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit, they're recognized for and said, "Hey, that's a good job that you're showing the fruit of the Spirit." It's a terrific program, one that I think is one that really helps develop disciples. Well, we're in Mark chapter 14, and we're in verse 27. We're in the upper room, and Jesus has, they've had the Passover meal. Jesus has instituted the Lord's Supper, and now he's trying to instruct them what's going to happen. He knows that he's going to be crucified the next day. And so Jesus tells the disciples in verse 27 of chapter 14 of Mark, "You will all fall away," Jesus told them, "for it is written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered." He quotes Isaiah here. He says, you're all going to fall away. He says the shepherd's going to be stricken and the sheep are going to scatter. But Jesus says, but after I've risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. So Jesus is already making arrangements that, okay, after I'm risen from the dead, I want you to go back to Galilee. There's a spot there. I want to meet you. And that happens, actually. But Peter interrupts Jesus, and Peter declared, even if all fall away, I will not. I tell you the truth, Jesus answered, today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And the others did the same. Here's Peter, and Jesus is saying, you guys are all going to fall away. You're going to be scattered, but it's okay because I'm going to raise from the dead. I want to raise from the dead. I want you to go back to Galilee. Got a spot I want to meet with you. And that spot's where Jesus met with them, gave them the Great Commission and all. But Peter's not having any of it. He says, I'd never deny you. I'd never do that. I'd never fall away. If I have to die with you, I'm going to. And Jesus looked at Peter and said, before the rooster crows, in other words, before daylight tomorrow, you're going to deny me 3 times. And we know that happened. We know that Peter did deny Jesus 3 times. And so it's a sobering message, and it's one to look at the Bible seriously about. Scott McKnight taught a very interesting lecture on this one time that I heard. He asked the question, when was Peter saved? And it was an interesting question. He said, was it when Andrew told Peter about Jesus, the Messiah? He said, or was it at Caesarea Philippi where Jesus was asking them, who do people say that I am? And then when he asked, who do you say that I am? And Peter says, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus gets all excited about it and says, Simon, son of Bar-Jonah, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but the Spirit of the living God. From now on, you'll be known as Peter, or Petros, the rock. And upon this rock I will build my church. And the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. Was it then? Or was it after he had denied Christ and that they were, and John records that when they were fishing and he recognized Jesus and Jesus restores him by asking him, Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, yes, Lord, I love you. And he says, well, then feed my sheep. And he does that 3 times and restores him. Or was it Pentecost when he received the Holy Spirit? My answer to that question would be it was all of those. I think sometimes we get to thinking too much, and I think sometimes we as Baptists teach this too much, that salvation is a one-time thing. You just receive Jesus and that's it. Salvation is a process. Discipleship is a process. And part of the process sometimes is failing and receiving Christ and receiving his forgiveness and his grace and going again. The monasteries in ancient times in Latin, had a word called nunc coepe, begin again. Just begin again. And that's what Peter's had to do, because he's going to deny Christ, and we'll talk more about that. But that's what happens. And one of the things I think we need to be careful of is maybe not to be quite so arrogant as to think, boy, I'd never do that. By the time you think that is, you probably would. So be on your guard today and live very close to Jesus, and realize that even in your failures, you can fail up. You can be better afterwards. We'll continue. Tomorrow we'll get in the Garden of Gethsemane, and that'll be, again, Thursday night, and we'll wrap up Thursday tomorrow. So we've wrapped up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week, and next week we'll get into Friday, the day Jesus was crucified. Blessings upon you, and I'll see you tomorrow.